Right. Well, did you manage to do your screen, Steve?
I'm going to trying again now. I'm pressing share. Oh, hang on. What can you see now?
Oh, yeah, we can see your screen. We can see MINDSPAN high performance.
There you go.
Perfect. Well, I'll kick it off then. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Innovation Labs Lightning talk this morning. We may have a few more joining us, so we'll just crack on, and then if they join, they can just join in. Great to see Justin here from the Barclays program. And this morning we've got Steve Chadwick, who is a mindset coach. So hopefully we're going to learn how to set our minds up for optimal performance, the best lives ever. Right, Steve?
I can't promise that, but thanks. It's really around, so where am I? Let me talk about, should I just tell them a little bit about myself?
Yes, tell everyone about yourself, and then afterwards we'll do some questions, okay? And we're going to run, how long are you planning to run for today?
You're going to have to tell me to shut up.
Okay, we'll do like half an hour to an hour, well, 45 minutes, I reckon.
Yeah, we'll see how, there's lots I could talk about, depends on questions and everything, but we'll just go until you've had enough, really, basically.
Great, okay, right, off you go. Thank you very much.
So thanks everybody, thanks for inviting me. So my name's Steve, I'm a business coach and I specialize in mindset, but I have been in business for 40 years, over 40 years. I started with Sainsbury's back in the 80s, started pushing trolleys and then went through and managing stores. And for the last 15 years, I managed the hospitality section for Centre Parks at Elvedon, which was 300, 400 people in my division, 365-day a year operation. So I did that for 15 years. And then last year, I set up my own consultancy around business coaching. But I wanted to specialize in particularly in mindset, because over those 40 years, I've seen us go digital. There was no internet back when I started, but the one thing that stayed the same throughout was the people that I worked with. So you get into a stage in life where I am at the moment that I really want to help individuals and groups that create a legacy and move and sort of create and help others. If you see where I'm coming from. So the last 9 months I've been studying, and I'm now a MINDSPAN consultant, which specializes in mindset training. So I do business coaching, but I also do mindset, because teams and individuals in business and life can really fulfill their potential if they think in the right way. So that's where I am, and I'm doing a talk at the Ipswich Business Forum next week, and I do talks more regularly now with groups and businesses around how they think, because in these busy times in life, there's two things we don't do. We don't think about ourselves very much and where we are and where we're going, busy thinking about our businesses and our lives. And we don't devote any time to thinking about what we're really about, and to spending time just to think about us. So when I do the workshops, I really make sure that individuals or in groups are really thinking about giving time to ourselves and taking some time to think about that. So what I wanted to do just over the next 45 minutes now is just give you some little nuggets just to think about, some little things that might get you thinking about you and yourselves and your businesses. Because if you understand how your mind works a little bit better, and some of you may, you can really start adapting it to getting the best for yourself, because the mind is a wonderful thing, but we don't always understand exactly how it works. So this is sort of like a foundation of how we think, and the thinking cycle is really important, because apparently we have 60,000 thoughts a day. And the interesting thing is that your thoughts actually drive what actually happens in your outcomes in life. Everything you think about has an outcome, and it follows a cycle every single time. So you will think, let's see if it works. Yeah, thoughts drive emotions. So you're listening to this now, and you're having thoughts, and you'll have emotions. You could have positive emotions or unhelpful emotions that will drive how you're thinking about a particular subject. And that would be for anything that you do. And those emotions then drive behaviors or actions. So if you're interested in this subject, you'd actually be, paying attention, writing things down, having a think about it, and that'll mean you'd be focused. If you weren't, you'd probably be looking at another screen and thinking, how long is this guy going to go on for? Because I've got other things I need to do. And they'll all drive behaviors. And what will come is an outcome. So they drive habits, which then drive outcomes. So positive thing from these sessions could be that you do something positive for you in your life, in either your business or your life. And these cycles follow that every single time. So rather than thinking it's about circumstances that are driving the outcomes that you want, it's really that your thoughts. It's not your circumstances, it's how you're thinking about it. So you can follow this cycle in any which way you want to, but it's important just to remember that the thoughts drive the outcomes that you have. And that's happened in life consistently. Does that make sense?
Yes. I like this session because it also applies to just general brain and therapy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
just to say, Julie's joined us. Hi, Julie. If you have any questions, and Justin, if you have any questions, just do butt in.
So when you go back to scenarios in life, in anything that you do, I often go back to the thinking cycle and thinking, why did I come out with this outcome? Let's go back to how I was thinking about it, how I was feeling about it, and how I was behaving. If you're asked to do something stressful that you think is stressful, if you're thinking stressful, it's going to end up stressful. If you're asked to do a talk, you think, I can't do this, you're thinking. Emotionally, you're all over the place. You behave in a stressful way, and the outcome's probably not going to be what you want. So it's always good to remember the thinking cycle when you're going through things. What else have I got? Just a bit, I get fascinated by how the mind works, because there's the conscious and subconscious mind. And whilst it works for us amazingly, we don't always understand how it works. Now, your mind has got actually like two sort of operating systems. There's the conscious mind, and then there's the subconscious mind. Now, actually, the subconscious mind, which is like your autopilot, is actually up to 98% of what your capacity is. So your tiny conscious mind is so small and struggles to deal with some of the complex things. Now, the classic example of how that works is the mind is like a cruise liner, a really big cruise liner. And the conscious mind is the captain of the ship, and the subconscious is the crew. And so the conscious mind will tell the crew what to do, and the captain puts those instructions out, and the crew is the most obedient crew you've ever seen. They all just do what it tells you, and that's what happens in your mind. If you can remember back, good example of how you learn is you can remember when you started driving, and when the first time you went on you did your driving lessons, you can remember that was probably pretty stressful. Gear change, maneuver, signal, looking out for things, and that's because your conscious mind was trying to learn all of this, and it's stressful, exhausting, and you could probably remember it being a very stressful situation. But over time, as your conscious feeds into your subconscious, it becomes automatic. And mostly now when you drive, your subconscious is doing all of that. You don't remember, you probably don't even recall all the things that you used to stress about you're actually doing. And when you're driving, most times now you're thinking about other things because your subconscious is doing it all for you. So the subconscious mind is just so powerful. And when you understand how it works, the subconscious, it will help you in the way that you think, because the subconscious is pretty strange, because it will, whatever you give it focus, it will lock onto it. A bit like a heat-seeking missile. If you give it focus, your subconscious will lock onto that. And it doesn't know the difference between what you want and what you don't want. So if you focus on things that you don't really want, your subconscious will focus on that because that is what it thinks you want. Does that make sense? So subconscious also can't tell the difference between what is real and what is not real. Have you ever woken up in the morning and had a dream? Could be a nightmare, something really strong. Have you ever had that moment where you think that actually happened? Have you ever had that? That is because your subconscious believes it's real. And it takes your tiny conscious mind to say, hang on a minute, this didn't really happen. So I think it's really important to understand how the conscious and subconscious mind work. And then once you understand it, you can feed your subconscious mind with the things that you really want. Please, any questions, please just shout out.
So basically you can you can control your subconscious mind. You can train it.
Yeah, you can, because it will work to your advantage and your disadvantage. If you focus on the wrong things and get bad habits, it will do that for you. But it acts on what your conscious mind is repeatedly telling it. So if you set yourself goals and you go through a routine of programming your subconscious mind with things that you really want, when you understand what you really want, it will point you in that direction and help you in that direction. So you want to form beliefs and habits and learn new skills. You've got to make sure that you really have got a good process in place for your conscious mind to program your subconscious mind. So it works both ways, but you say you want it to work in the way that's really positive for you. So this is really interesting around thinking spirals. And so you will understand what these are. These are situations that you get either a low state of mind or a high state of mind. And I'll give you a classic example. You can probably relate to how it is. So I read a negative thinking spiral normally starts with some sort of negative event or a negative thought. When you go back to the thinking cycle, you then create negative emotions, unhelpful behaviors, and negative thoughts. And this is not a great place to be. You probably can think about where you either get angry or stressful because of a trigger or something negative. When you think that you're not good enough about something, you really get into a negative state, and that's called a low state of mind or a red zone. It's not a great place to be, and also it is hard to break out of. When you're in this negative spiral of things, you're having a bad day, it's really difficult to get out of this red zone, and it's not great for you, and it's certainly not great for anybody who's around you. If you're working in the workplace, people will notice and see or stay away from because you're just not in a great place to be. But similarly, there's also what's called a green zone or a high state of mind. And this can also be, this is triggered the opposite by something positive, a positive thought, a positive event. And this will have the opposite effect. This creates positive emotions, constructive behavior and thoughts, and it reinforces positive things you're thinking. And of course, the opposite of a low state of mind, you find solutions to things. You're in a feeling really creative. You find that everything's possible. Instead of being impossible, everything's possible. You feel great. The body reacts to that and then produces hormones and endorphins that help you. You feel great. You're actually in the zone, literally in the zone. And not just you feel great, but people around you feel great. So you work in a workplace, suddenly that thinking, blimey, this person's inspirational. You become inspirational because you're in such a great state of mind. So I often think about spirals, and when I'm when that trigger starts, I think about the spiral. Big example is, if you're driving or in traffic, when somebody cuts you up, somebody cuts you up, you can have two states of mind about it. One is the red zone where they've done that deliberately. They nearly killed me. How dare? And you all heard of road rage. That's a result of a red state of mind. People jump out of their cars and do ridiculous things. If you think about it in a different way, you actually be calm about it. There could be a number of reasons why the person's done that to you. So if you get into a high state of mind in the green zone, you just think, this has happened, I'm not going to worry about it. And be a positive around it and not get road rage, feel less stressful. So I suppose the key is how you then get from the low state of mind to a high state of mind, because it's hard to get out of the red state. And the way that you do that is called reframing, which is really resetting. And I'll take you through the steps that help you get from red to green. So you create, once you realize you're in that place, you actually physically create an interrupt. So you actually say, you can say stop if you're in a place where you can say stop, but it's really around internally and externally saying stop this, creating an interrupt so you can stop this thinking. Secondly, take a breath, breathe in for 7 seconds and then out for 5. This is like a physical interrupt that your body will do. So to do those 2 things. And then the last thing is to actually stop and ask yourself the question of what's called a thinking question. And the thinking question is, hang on a minute, how do I want or how do I need to think about the situation that I'm in? And then you go back to thinking about spirals and thinking cycle, and then process that and to get yourself in the place where you want to be. All right. Interesting.
Yeah, super interesting. So did you study this? Have you done?
Yeah, I studied it for you think when you're in business, Harmony, you think you know it, you think just a natural thing to do.
Yeah.
So what I did is I went to a business MINDSPAN that specialised in it, and then for the last 9 months I've been studying it, and I get signed off in understanding the principles. And what it actually does is it relates to everything in life. You just don't realise it.
Is it like psychotherapy?
And not really. It's around it's really like the best principles of psychology built into a program. So I can do programs like this normally would take about a couple of hours, but there's 11 of these little shorts I can do either in part or together, or I can do 1 day, 2 day, 3 days with groups and individuals. But I can also I mentor and as well, and I can introduce these theories when I'm mentoring somebody or coaching somebody, and they've got into a situation or a rut. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Situation.
What's it called? Like this teaching?
It's called Peak Performance Mind. The program's called Peak Performance Mind. But what it actually is, through studying it, I've learned that it is actually the best of the principles that are out there, because there are principles out there everywhere. But this is almost like the best of. So this is the best principles over 3 psychologies and 9 competencies that then are all related to everything that's important in life.
Brilliant.
And just something that's really just interesting about the brain and how it works. So have any of you ever heard of that? The reticular activating system?
No.
It's amazing. You can't switch it off. It's within your mind, and it's like, how can I describe it? You get algorithms now online. So social media and things that you use will send you things and things you either like or you are interested in. Yeah. So this is like your own personal version. So it's a filtering system that's trying to help you and give you information or attention and give you things that you want. So you probably think, well, how does it work, right? It filters everything from all of your senses and brings it to your conscious. So what's a good example? Good example is if you decide you want to buy something, right? You want to buy a car. You want to buy a red car. You set that as a goal. Suddenly, you will see them everywhere. You never saw them before. And that's just your activating system, bringing it to your attention and highlighting it to you. Suddenly, you will see them everywhere. So that's how the system works. It brings it to your attention. It's anything that's related to your interest and your focus. Your system will then filter it and try and bring it to your attention because it knows that's what you want. And it will then reinforce your beliefs. But it can work to your disadvantage, of course. So if you're thinking negatively, your activating system will reinforce that belief and show you the ways of you not achieving something. So it can work in both ways. What we do a lot now is we doom scroll on media on our phones, and if you're focusing on this, I mean, there's a lot of negative news at the moment. If you focus on that consistently, your activating system will think that's what you want and keep giving it to you. So you then get into a whole process of always having negative or news that you don't particularly want in the longer term. So it's really interesting to try and understand how that system works. So we do it, I mean, it works in the workplace as well. If teams and businesses focus on problems all the time, you'll get more problems brought to your attention. So it's really around programming it to do really positive things for you. And you can train that obviously through processes to try and help you. So it's really interesting, and really these things happen for a reason, and your activating system is trying to help you. So I suppose that the core message is really around, it's not you don't feel what's happening around you. You only really feel your thinking and what's going on. So it's really important to remember that. It's like people listening to this, two people out looking at the same circumstances can have two different glasses on and see things in a different way if they really think carefully about how they're thinking about it. We could, two people could look at the same situation but see it in a completely different way. So it's really important to remember. It's not your circumstances. If the weather today is raining all day, some people will get really het up and stressful about it. It's ruined their day, while others will see it in a positive. I'm not going to let this ruin my day. The garden needs the rain. I'm not going to get stressful. I'm going to think about it in a positive way. Any questions or anything about that? So what we've talked about, just to sort of recap where we are, is that we've talked about the thinking cycle and how thoughts create our outcomes. I also do a session on living a life without regrets. So it's really around acknowledging what our choices are. I do a whole session on how we don't want to live a life with regrets. So you've probably thought about that over time. And really, if you want to live a life without regrets, we do that, and we ask people to write things down that they don't want to regret. And then we would talk about how we can really do that positively. So if you want to live a life without regrets, you make decisions that are really then around the values that you've set up. It's really important to take some calculated risks in life, because often regrets are around not taking those risks, not following through things that they want to do. It's really around living life deliberately and positively. And of course, remembering also the things that you can't change, things in life that you just cannot, are beyond your control. And with all these things, it's really around time that you spend on yourself. It's about maintaining meaningful connections. A lot of regrets are around not keeping in touch with people, and not appreciating the people around you that support you in their life. So, and really around reflecting on regularly about where you are and where you're going and the values that you have. Because I normally start these sessions, and I'll start them next week with people just going back to basics and understanding what do they really want, what do people really want in life, and what don't they want in life. And people often don't give themselves time to actually think about that. So
can you give me an example of what that might be? So I'm going to sit down. What do I really want in life? What do I write down?
You write down the things that really are important to you. What do you want to happen? That could be personal, that can be your family, that can be your career, and you'll write those down, and then you'll be able to then to reflect on those and have those as like your template for what you don't want. Similarly,
can you give me an example of your life and something that you've changed or written down, or a goal that you want?
Well, what I do now, what I've done through this program, I'm not sort of like being evangelical about it. I've started a journal. So what I've done with my journal is I write what I'm grateful for. So I write things down that I'm actually grateful for and people around me. To avoid the Monday morning feeling, historically, is what you do is you actually stop, because Monday morning you get up and think, I have got to do this. I have got to go to work. There's nothing that you have to do. They're all driven. Everything you do is a choice. So to avoid the Monday morning feeling, you actually think about this is everything I'm doing is my choice. And then you go back to thinking about what you're grateful for in your life and what things you've got around you that can actually put things in perspective. So I write gratitudes down. I write positive affirmations to myself, things that I know I can do, things that I'm proud of. So
Can
when
you give me an example of an affirmation?
uh, I am I'm a successful person, and I am going to make a success of my business. Um, you set yourself targets, you'll set yourself goals, and your positive affirmations. I have the skills that I need to be able to do this. I value. They can be personal, they can be family, they can be anything that they will want to be. But they remind yourself of how valued you are. So
Okay.
Hermione.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, it's Julie. Sorry, I've only just worked out because I'm on the phone how to unmute. But Steve, thank you. I'm finding the
Good to
session
see
really,
you. Good to see
hi,
you.
really, really good. And I love the thing about what you don't want to regret. I think that is so, so important. So I just wanted to come and say thank you. I've learned a lot. Sorry, I was quiet, but I do have to go for a 10:30. But if it's possible to send the slides, then I'd really appreciate that.
yeah.
And thank you. That's been really insightful.
No, it's a pleasure. And what I do with the regrets is I show a video of that was in America, in New York. They put a blackboard up and they invited people to write down their regrets, things they didn't want to regret, and they write on the blackboard. So they write them down, and you can imagine the sort of things that people will write down: relationship they didn't follow up, things they should wanted to do but didn't, and they write them down. And then what they do is they say, which of these can you still achieve? And if and then they rub them out on the blackboard, and you'd just be amazed at some of the things that people have always wanted to do but have never had the impetus to do it. It is really powerful.
Brilliant. Right, thank you. I am going to have to dial up, but thank you so much.
Thanks, Julie.
Absolute pleasure.
Steve, thank you very much. I've been quiet as well. That's really interesting, especially for the business owner and for someone who wants to be the better person as well. I have one question. So after setting the targets, do we have to repeat them like every day, every week, or do we have to read through the list?
Absolutely. Because the reason I'm giving you these foundations is you just refer back to it. So in answer to that question is yes, of course, your conscious will then train your subconscious. So what I do with your journal is write down your goal, your personal. I do whole sessions on goal setting, but write your goals down and write your affirmation, and just every day, every morning and every evening, just read them. Writing things down creates a neural pathway. Reading it creates a neural pathway. And if you can read something twice a day, it will then build that such a strong path that makes it much more likely that you'll be able to succeed and achieve a goal that you've got. So yeah, definitely write them down.
And when you've seen people writing the goals for themselves, how often it's about money, or is it more about
of course it is.
state?
Often it's financial, often it's personal, often it's around health and health. I see a lot of goals around health, and I do whole sessions around how you do that. Goal setting is a completely different subject, but that's around setting goals and visualizing the success that you're going to get from the goals that you set. So it's really not just around most businesses, and I in 40 years have written goals down. They call different things in business, the objectives. You write them down, you probably put them in a file, and you bring them out again when you're going to be measured on them, don't you? But in real life, the things that you really want to do, you've got to actually visualize what they are and make them into something. So I really recommend a process where you visualize it, and you visualize what you want the goal and how it will feel, and what it will look like, and what you're doing when you achieve that goal. So I did a goal around. I started running a few years ago, and I set a goal to achieve a half marathon. I didn't just write down I want to run a half marathon. I actually did it in a way. It is July when the run was. I wrote it down. It was July. I've just completed the half marathon. I'm following my training program. I feel amazing. My family is around me. The crowd is cheering, and I feel amazing. And I wrote that down as a goal, and that I just reminded myself of that, how that wanted, how that was going to be. And that enabled me then all my senses then to feel it. And that then when you have a low moment or you're struggling to achieve your goal, you just go back to how you want to feel about it, and that normally will then spur you on to help you.
And I have another question, and this might be not relative to your topic, but after setting those goals and going through them again and again, how often do they come back in your dreams at night, and how this
Yeah, of
impact
course they
your...
will. They will, because what your dreams actually are, technically, it's like an update. Your subconscious is processing everything that you've been through, and what it's doing is just processing it all. So of course, if you're visualizing goals, that uses all of your senses, your subconscious will pick up on that and then process it through. So yeah, your dreams will become what you want in terms of visualization, but it will work both ways. And of course, like I said, your subconscious actually thinks it's real. So you could, if you've got a goal of running something, I went skiing and had a goal about that, and I woke up thought I was on a slope, and because your mind will just take over and process all that for you. And goals should really be short-term, medium-term, long-term. Don't give yourself great big long stretching goals. Set yourself a smaller goal as almost like a sub goal to the bigger goal, because your mind also will reward you if you hit a goal. There's no better feeling. Even if you hit a mini goal, you feel amazing about it, and that will then help you towards other goals.
So you said you've applied this to health.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how it applies to health?
So yeah, it can be around diet, of course. Most people, I did a talk back in January around New Year's resolutions. I asked the group, everybody does New Year's resolution, but they normally just say, I suppose I should lose a bit of weight. I think I need to, or it's a completely different thing to around fitness needs to be about the same process. So understand exactly what you want to do, what it's going to feel like, what you need to do, write the goal down, and visualize you feeling that in that way. So you're on the beach, maybe, wherever it may be. And if you train your mind to think, I can do it, you've got to be positive that you can do it. Your activating system will show you examples of it actually happening. But similarly, if you don't think, you think, I want to get fit, but I don't think I can, your mind will also pick up on that and show you almost an excuse or a reason why you can't do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So fitness needs to be along with all the other things that are going, around apps and doing everything to sort of regiment it. For your mind to want to do it, you've got to sort of visualize what it's going to feel like and what it's going to be at the end of whatever your goal will be.
Fantastic.
So
When I go for a run, I don't want to go for a run, but I visualize how great I feel at the end of it, and because we know it does, but you just got to visualize and feel that, and then normally it works in terms of, yeah.
Steve, if I may step in again, so it actually works the same way as the New Year's resolutions written on a paper and stuck on your fridge. You see them every day, and you're like, okay, this is what I promised myself to do. That's where I need to be. So I do understand how it works long term as well. Thanks for explaining this.
Yeah, you've got to go you've got to be absolutely clear on why you want to set the goals that you set. We call them New Year's resolutions because for some reason we traditionally always look at the beginning of the calendar year and set ourselves goals. But what we don't do is set them in the right way. And a high percentage, the gym membership will go down over the next few months. I think January and February are big months for them, and it will gradually go down because people don't do it with a plan and they don't have a goal. They'll do it until something happens that distracts them. So and that's not the only example of New Year's resolutions, of course, but a high percentage of New Year's resolutions don't work because they don't follow a process. So I've got what's called a 4x4. So you do 2 sets of 4 of goal setting, write them down, and then follow it through. So it's written down, and it's also visualizing it, what it's going to look and feel like.
Fantastic. I love this, Steve. Well, I've been through 3 years of chronic pain, and one of the biggest things that's helped heal it is cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yeah.
And like the voice inside your head, you know, keep telling yourself like this is just temporary, it will pass.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be fine. Nothing's anatomically wrong with your body. It's
Yeah.
just the stress response. So
Yeah.
it's so powerful.
Yeah.
And also talking about myself as if I've already healed. Like
you've done there, you're doing exactly what I'm saying. You've visualized it, haven't you?
Yeah.
And much more likely for it to happen if you've visualized, because everything then will start helping you towards it. But if you had doubt, Hermione, if you had any doubt, that would then shift it away, and it would just you could get into. This is why I've talked about thinking cycles and spirals, because you'll be in the spiral then where you just don't think you can do it, and then you'll have doubt and things will happen, and you won't get where you want to be.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's kind of like manifesting, isn't it?
Oh, of course it is. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, is that the end of the presentation?
Well, all I was going to say, when I do this as a workshop, I'm a bit funny about them dedicating time to themselves. It's very powerful as a group, because I ask people to be honest and don't be afraid to share things, because it's really around sharing and having experiences. So that's really important. I'm really funny about them writing things down for obvious reasons, because that really helps. And then all I will say is, and then I'll say in this session, is just if you just take one of these principles that resonates with you, and then implement it, just start with a week, and then see what difference it makes. And then just for me, I think the last slide was really.
Hey, hang on, can you just give me an example of that?
Sorry, which?
Like doing one small thing a week.
No, we've talked. Think about. We've gone through the thinking cycle. We've talked about regrets. So you might want to write them down out of this session. You'll think about examples of goals that you may want. You may want to research something around how your mind works and how the activating system. You might want to think about how you can reframe things that happen to you during the day, and how you can reframe them into a positive. And you may want to start thinking more about emotionally where you are. So all I would say for this session, and for others that I do, if it's online, I'll just say, just pick one or pick 2 and write them down. In a workshop, it's great because you write them down and you'll share them with others. And really, it's around starting the journey. So if if businesses or individuals want to know more about how to use this with mentoring, or want to have a group session on, I've got 11 different subjects that I can do sessions on that are 2 hours at a time, which don't take too much time up. That can be done online or in person, or I can do half days, or 3 days, all on these subjects. And that can then start building up really strong things for you, both personally and in your business. But it also, in fact, it positively impacts your teams. If you do it as a team, you understand a lot about each other. And that's why I talk about being open and honest, having what's called like ouch moments, where, it may be a little bit painful, but you've got to be honest with yourself.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I love that workshop so much. Thank you so much. And we'll put it on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But I think, Justin, what do you think? Was that very useful?
Yeah, that's a great topic, and I really enjoyed that. Thanks, Stephen. Very, very clear to understand.
Good. It's great to be able to, for you guys, just to have, even if it's how long we talked about, 40 minutes, just to have that time to think. So I always hope when I leave sessions like this, or leave workshops, that hopefully that's made a positive impact, because there's a lot to think about and there's a lot to consider, but all these things could help you in the future, with at home or in business, or with your teams that you work with.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, and goodbye.
Cheers.